Mariko Tamaki and Amanke Nahulpan end Arkham Tower's reign over Gotham as the reporter Deb Donovan pieces together this series of events that led to the tower's downfall while Batman searches for the missing psycho pirate. Mariko Tamaki finishes up the massive 12-issue Shadows of the Bat storyline in a rather disappointing and abrupt way. The story just suddenly ends, and the great cliffhanger with Koyuki Nakano from the last issue using the Medusa mask to help Batman and the others is just thrown out the window and not even mentioned. Scarecrow isn't even mentioned bar one time in the book, despite seemingly turning into the big bad villain at the end of the series. The problems with the event really started once Batman started getting involved, since once he did, the book's focus was ripped from the Bat family and interesting new characters Tamaki had created for the book to solely Batman, who just sorted everything out off page by the looks of it. With the knowledge of the next art being a Riddler based one, I have a feeling Tamaki was told just to wrap it up all quickly and neatly so we can get into the multimedia synergy happening thanks to the Batman movie being out. And it is such a shame, since getting to explore characters like Koyuki Nakano and their battles with mental health and all of these new villains that she had made for the book was really so interesting and different than what we usually get. Amanke Nahulpan rounds out the story with some more fantastic artwork that got creative with how to do quick rundowns of story events up until now, with the use of Deb Donovan's computer screen and her sort of going through all the files and everything. I love the later stuff in the motel with Batman and the thugs, and the shadows and lighting in that sequence were just brilliant and broody and really fit the rundown motel motif really well. Detective Comics issue 1058 was quite a disappointing ending to an otherwise refreshing and interesting event story, skipping all of the things that made the event great in the first place to instead bring Batman back to fix everything all these characters have been going through for the last 12 issues and to set up the next Riddler storyline. I'm going to give this issue a 4 out of 10. Detective Comics issue 1058 finds Deb Donovan meet with Batman and Batwoman as she writes her story on the Arkham Tower incident. She asks if the Scarecrow was behind this, but according to Batman, he wasn't, as Kate tells her that they can't give her all the details, but they will fill in some gaps. Using the hero's info, Deb outlines how Mayor Nakano hired Tobias Ware, a doctor who turned out to be a con artist and had used the medical license of the real James Weir to forge his own credentials, and Arkham Tower was never some home to a medical miracle that he claimed and was just the oldest scam in the book, a scam which ended with Weir's death and his connections to the drug trade made public, connecting him to the Penguin and the party crashes. Deb, however, doesn't know how Weir was controlling the patients though, since her sources confirmed a medical miracle of some type was there, but it wasn't the work of Scarecrow like she thought. Penguin is soon alerted to his men finding where Psycho Pirate is hiding out, sending them to a rundown motel on the edge of the city where one asks what happens if he tries to mind control them, but Anella says he's going to shoot him in the leg first before he can think. The goons kick in all of the motel room doors, soon finding the villain and demanding he stand very slowly, otherwise he'll shoot his hand off if he tries to reach for the mask. Outside, Cassandra suddenly appears, attacking the goons as Spoiler takes down the leader. Inside the dark room, Psycho Pirate disappears, getting the drop on the goon who was looking for him and snapping his wrist as it's revealed to be Batman in disguise. Batman knocks the man out as later, Penguin learns that they failed as Spoiler tells Oracle that their mission was a success, asking her how the new cave is going. Nightwing thinks that it's less damp than the other, and Barb knows that it's an actual city under Gotham instead of just a tunnel Batman dug up. Kate meanwhile leaves to go to Weir's funeral, disguising herself as Dr. Frau again as Deb Donovan asks her who the unknown factor in the Arkham Tower was, assuming it's a man, and Frau owes her that since she already knew most of the information that Frau had told her. Dr. Chase Meridian meanwhile is met by Nakano, who knows Ware was one of the most important people in his life and his life was tragically taken, so he knew he needed to be at the funeral for it, but he also wanted to see Chase, telling her that he's not shutting down the Arkham Tower, knowing the inspiration for the project was to help people who needed it, not just frozen villains or clay monsters, but regular everyday people as well, and that will always be his first priority. He knows that she tried to warn him about this, but she was never given the time by him and he was wrong to do that, so he offers Chase the opportunity to run the tower. Chase knows that's a serious responsibility and Chris knows that's why she's the person for the job, shaking her hand. Later on at Nakano's home, Koyuki is delivered some flowers, finding the thank you note to be from someone she met in the tower. Harley meanwhile tells Huntress that she liked Arkham Tower since it gave her time to think. Surprised Huntress didn't use that time to do that as well. Helena asks what she thought about, so Harley reveals that it's probably most of the same things she always thought of, wondering if anyone ever asks if Batman has a bat in his cave. Before Helena can ask what that means, Oracle contacts them, asking if anyone has eyes on who they are tracking. Batman soon does, confronting Roger Hayden in the street and asking if he's going back into hiding. The Psycho Pirate knows that he has no choice, but Batman thinks there is another option. Koyuki meanwhile tells Chase in their sessions that the Psycho Pirate was right and it never ends, but not in a bad way. Chase asks how then, so the woman says that maybe how they feel about it and it never ends, but it's not bigger than her and no bigger than she can understand someday. Chase hopes that Koyuki is willing to start their sessions talking about that, as Batman hears Riddler's broadcast out into the city as he poses the question to the city, when is a killer not a killer?